Now, hear our cry. That's the advice from one former miner in Zambia to the country's new president, Edgar Lungu. Now, Lungu was re-elected in July and is due to be sworn into office later today. Zambia's mining sector, and in particular its producing of copper, have been heavily impacted by falling prices, with thousands of miners now unemployed. So the government has promised to hand out arable land, hoping to turn the workers into farmers. Well, our correspondents Caroline Dumais and Aisha Ismail report from Zambia's aptly named Copperbelt province.
Once one of the largest copper producers in the world, now unemployment and poverty have taken over. 60% of Zambians live below the breadline and are struggling to make ends meet. But people here still live with hope of a better life. Peter is an ex-miner. He was retrenched last November. He proudly announces to his ex-colleague that their application for land has been approved, and it's just a matter of time before the allocation takes place.
Even mine is there.
Yours is there as well.
Okay.
You need just have to go and make an effort of going that side so that you collect the form.
Okay. Yeah, this is a very good news.
And we thank the President of the nation to hear our cry for this. But for what he has done, if this thing is going to be like, yes, we got it, then we are going to be landlords soon.
The Zambian government is hoping to turn miners into farmers. The country, which is suffering from a coal dependency, must diversify. Zambia used to be the second largest producer of copper in Africa after its neighbour, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But since 2011, the commodity has lost more than a third of its value. Almost 10,000 miners have lost their jobs since August 2015. And according to the mining industry, the only reason some companies are still operating is because of cost-cutting measures.
We don't have any control over the copper price. So the mining industry is resolved to do everything possible to survive under the current low copper price scenario. And without exception, all the mining companies are looking at where else can they reduce their costs.
For these ex-miners, the message is loud and clear. The golden days are over. Peter knows he has to find an alternative way of life. He's lucky enough to have a family who knows about planting. His father is also an ex-miner who went from pick to plough. Despite the terrible drought this year, the family produced more than 52 bags of maize, enough to carry the season. But the idea of having a farm as big as 5 hectares is a dream for this modest family.
It's a big portion. 5 hectares is a big portion of land. I can even move with Papa that side so that at least I have someone to take care of that land. Whereas we can grow into big farmers. So we expect that from the government.
But over the last months, the government has been too busy with the elections. The president's party forgot its promises. President Lungu won the election in July. He was re-elected for 5 years and now has to tackle the crippling economy. Mines still represent most of the resources of the country. Last year, the state, mining companies and their workers launched a discussion on the redistribution of wealth, and everybody agrees Zambia needs a global vision on the diversification of the economy.
We need to sit down as economic stakeholders and say, where do we want to go? How do we use our revenue to invest in agriculture and develop food self-sufficiency and secondary linkages into manufacturing industry and so on? How are we building our energy infrastructure? Those are all issues that we need to work through collectively as a country.
But in the Copperbelt, jobless miners are getting impatient. Bwalya has been told that he would soon own a farm. He's requested basic training from the government, and he's trying to unite the 7,000 families who are waiting for their letters of confirmation.
We are workmen, okay? We don't need to go to college to learn how to use a shovel or a pick. That's us. But that's what we do. We don't understand farming. We would have loved some program to teach us, even to keep us busy, to learn we're learning. We'll start from our backyards, but it's not happening.
Peter is enthusiastic to teach his friends.
This is tomato.
His tomatoes are great, but insects have ruined his cabbages. He cannot afford any pesticides. and is desperate for help.
The government, they should not even just sit and relax after just giving us the portion of lands. They should think again, what are they going to provide for us, the farm implements? At least they can lend us loans. If I can do this for a start, I can do much better.
More than 20,000 hectares have been reserved for ex-miners who are eager to start working. But for Zambia to become the breadbasket of Africa, government will have to do much more than making promises.